Hello. Ooh, sorry. My name is Patsy Wood, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. We are glad you are with us this morning at First Unitarian of Oakland. We are committed to becoming an intentionally multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive religious community. You are welcome here. If you are new here, we invite you to fill out a Newcomer Connect card online. You can use the QR code on the card in the seat backs in front of you. They're right nestled into the back of the chair. Or you can turn to our website, or if you prefer, you can go to the greeters table in the front hallway there, or the welcome table in Vente Hall, which is right through those doors there to the right, where we'll have coffee afterwards. Doing this helps us to help you explore what our community offers, and to find ways to participate. And if you want to learn, oh, never mind, sorry. Welcome, everybody. Now for some announcements. Today after service, starting at 11:45, Reverend Laurel will be hosting a community circle hour to ground together in our monthly theme of repair. Childcare will be provided in the church's nursery. The space will be in the Star King Room, with the option to zoom in. So if you're joining online, please use the same link you used to join the service. And by the way, for those who are new, the Star King Room is when you come in the front door, you take a left and it's the first door on your left. Are you feeling the need to do something? Come help rejuvenate, yes, and grow our church's social justice program in the coming year. We'll meet in the Star King Room next week on Sunday, November 17th, from 11:45 to 2 p.m. to talk and to plan. Bring your ideas, your enthusiasm, and all are welcome. Lastly, our popular holiday events are coming up. Mark your calendars for the craft fair on Sunday, December 7th after the service. Then the following week, our annual holiday concert, and there's a slide, I think, up there. Yes, there it is, will take place on Saturday, December 14th at 7 p.m., showcasing the amazing talent we have here at First Unitarian. And there's a cookie reception afterwards. This is not to be missed event. Tickets will be available at the door or in advance using a QR code that will be on posters here at the church very soon. Sliding scale, as no one was turned away for lack of funds. Please come. Okay. So for the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land and the ancestral people of this land, the Lijan Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes are occupying their ancestral lands called Hushan. We acknowledge that the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples who have an ancestral relationship with this land, the plants, the animals, and the water for millennia, continuous to this present day. Ohlone people are still here. We also recognize that the spirits of Ohlone ancestors are present. We stand in solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice. We commit to working towards the healing of the intergenerational trauma, theft, and dispossession Native peoples continue to face. We celebrate the joyful rematriation and restoration of ancestral lands with local Lijan Ohlone people. We encourage you to learn more about the Confederated Villages of the Lijan Ohlone peoples. Thank you.
And now we'll light our chalice. The words will be on the screen, and if you know them, you can do the hand motions that go along. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. And today I'd like to light the peace candle and the Black Lives Matter candles together with the words of Rigoberta Menchú, a Guatemalan human rights activist, who reminds us that peace and the valuing of all people cannot be separated. she says, "Peace cannot exist without justice. Justice cannot exist without fairness. Fairness cannot exist without development. Development cannot exist without democracy. Democracy cannot exist without respect for the identity and worth of cultures and people." And together we say, peace is possible and Black lives matter. Our call to worship is a poem by Courtney Walsh called Dear Human. Dear human, you've got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. This is where you came from and where you'll return. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy love, sweaty love, crazy love, broken love, whole love, infused with divinity, lived through the grace of stumbling, demonstrated through the beauty of messing up often. You didn't come here to be perfect, you already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous, and rising again into remembering. But unconditional love? Stop telling that story. Love, in truth, doesn't need any adjectives. It doesn't require modifiers. It doesn't require the condition of perfection. It only asks you to show up and do your best, that you stay present and feel fully, that you shine and fly and laugh and cry and hurt and heal and fall and get back up again and play and work and live and die as you. It's enough. It's plenty. Let us worship together.
We have our opening hymn. It's Circle Round for Freedom, so please rise and body your spirit, and we'll sing it through 2 times. Today, when the heart is a small, tight knot, I do not try to untangle it. I don't tug on the strings in a desperate attempt to unravel it. don't even wonder at how it got so snarled. Instead, I imagine cradling it, cupping it with my hands as something precious, something wounded, a bird with a broken wing. I cradle my heart like the frightened thing it is. I imagine all the other frightened hearts and imagine them all being held in love. And I breathe. I breathe and feel how the breathing invites a spaciousness. I breathe and let myself be moved by the breathing as I open and soften. Open and soften. And nothing changes, and everything changes. The heart, still a knot, remembers it knows how to love. It knows it is not alone. This morning, let's go ahead and take a few minutes to greet each other. Some of you may want to stay in your seats, but others of you may want to rise and just wander around. And as you mingle with people, I'd like you to imagine that each of us are cradling our tender, broken hearts in our hands. And when you see someone, know that they too are cradling their own tender, broken hearts in their hands. So let's just take a few minutes, and then please come back to your seats after I ring the bell. good it is to be together today. Yeah. And so you can rise in body or spirit, or you can stay seated. But we're going to sing about there is more love somewhere. There's more love right here. Here.
We mourn for our country. How could a man so vile be the choice of so many? And what now? We fret, we rail, we pray. And some of us go out into our gardens to find some hope and joy. I have a geranium plant that I started from a cutting, something I've done many times. It has bright green leaves and deep coral flowers. But from the start, this plant has needed extra care. At first, it wouldn't root, just kept rotting off at the bottom of the stem, which kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I finally got it to root. It started to grow, it blossomed. And then one day I looked closely and I could see that all the leaves were full of holes. It was infested with little green worms making lace out of the plant. I picked off the worms and it recovered and kept growing. Then I noticed that the leaves were getting crispy and dried, like they were burnt from too much sun. So I moved it to a shadier spot, and it started to recover. And now it has purple spots on the backs of the leaves, which then yellow and die. It's just a geranium. Caring for any of the other geraniums in my garden usually consists of hacking them back before they take over the rest of it. Why is this one so hard? What is different this time? Why isn't it just thriving? We might ask the same question of ourselves and our church, our communities, our world. Why does everything seem so hard? How are we so divided and angry? Why aren't we thriving? About 4.5 years ago, a new organism appeared on the scene, and suddenly we felt threatened when anyone came close to us. There was an invisible menace in the very air we breathed. Trusting each other's presence or motivation suddenly became harder and more fraught. And this was happening across the globe. Loss of community, security, livelihoods, and lives. Whole cities and industries upended. Our sense of stability and knowing where we belong challenged. How could years of that not change us? We are traumatized, and we've never fully recovered. We are in the midst of a long-term multi-car pileup set off by COVID jackknifing in the highway ahead of us, followed by racism, economic and environmental injustice, climate change, xenophobia crashing each one in turn into that jackknifed semi. All of those things that we were already trying to navigate around on that road. We are disoriented, scared, bracing for the next impact. Shattered pieces of our lives are strewn across the road, and yet we have not collectively stopped to mourn. We've so often been one step ahead, figuring out what to do next, or one step behind, figuring out who to blame, but rarely right here, feeling our losses. And this pileup still hasn't come to a halt. It continues spiraling through our lives in a slow-motion crisis. We humans are not rational in the face of crisis. We become more tribal, more reactionary, less thoughtful. In our grief, like my tender geranium, we are less hardy, more vulnerable to injury, less able to fend off or brush off what comes along next. We require more tending. And when we don't get that attention, that tender care, our grief and fear can turn into anger, which gives rise to manipulation, to using our reactive state to tear us apart. There are those among us, as we know, who know how to step in, spin the narrative, and send us down the wrong road, and they have been exploiting this ever since. We do need to look back and understand how we got into this wreck, why we were driving on that road in the first place, because we don't want to go back to how it was, back to the well-worn track of racism, oligarchy, and misogyny. And neither do we need to head off on the low road to tribalism, xenophobia, and nationalism. But right now we are on the highway strewn with wrecked cars, with people dazed and wandering. First, we need to stop and give our attention to our pain and fear. We need to touch the ground beneath us, the ground of love and compassion and hope, and let our bruised hearts be tended and fed. Give them sun and water and shelter. Here and now is the only place we can begin to grow again. But here and now is a hard place to be. Here and now, more than half the voters in this country choose a man who wants to drive us back to a dark time. Yet even in the midst of this spiraling car wreck, we can reach out to each other. We can plant hope we can find joy. In the words of Elizabeth Cunningham, joy can be an offering, an act of courage and encouragement, a healthy cell supporting a body that is struggling to heal. We can dare to know joy, if only for a moment here and there, to embody it, to offer it to each other and to the world. I don't know what the future holds for my little geranium, but I do know that what happens depends on my attention, on letting myself see what is here now, and tending to what is hurting. Today, we are battered, disoriented, and scared. But look around. Look around. We have each other. We are not alone. Together, we will survive.
I think one of the themes of today is that being part of this community, you are not alone. When you have things to celebrate, we celebrate with you. When you have a sorrow, we grieve with you and hold you in the loving embrace of this community. So there are valleys and peaks in our lives. There's welcoming a new birth, the birth of a child or of a grandchild, maybe getting a promotion at work, youth, coming of age, quinceañeras, marriages, divorces, celebrations of life. All of these life passages take place within the embrace of this community. This morning I would like to share with you a life passage. Our dearly beloved Bev Smurha died peacefully in her sleep a few days ago. Her family had been aware that the end was near. She was not experiencing any pain. Some of us have seen her recently because Dick Bailey, thank you Dick, created what he called Team Bev. And so not only was Bev well taken care of by the place where she lived in the last several months, Lakeside Park, but she also has received a lot of visitors who have brought her food and mostly company. And we've looked into her bright blue eyes and we've told each other that we loved each other so, so much. So we will hold a celebration of Bev's life. And those of you who have heard of Bev's death, some of you have made beautiful tributes. And so all of these will be gathered together as one of these days we'll celebrate her life. And she will not be forgotten. Also, tomorrow is Veterans Day, which commemorates and honors the service of U.S. veterans. And so I would like to invite any of you who are veterans to please stand so that we can thank you for your service. And now, after the bell sounds, I invite you to speak out loud what is in your heart. And I really think it's like music when the voices tumble over each other. So we call this an embracing meditation. I'm thinking not only those of us who are here in the sanctuary today, but we have 19 or 18 or 19 people who are on Zoom. And so for those of you who are on Zoom, you are welcome. We know that you're with us. And if you have anything that you'd like me to read out loud, please put it in the chat. So Lucia Savage says, Bev has handed us the baton with her passing, and we who believe in freedom must keep on moving forward. And Susan Kiter says, may the president-elect and in the coming leaders make choices that benefit all beings. Lucia also writes that election bright lights which are shining in many places. And Sally says, thinking of my friend Maury, who just found out he has cancer. Tom and Tamara Ha, Bev believed love wins all. Penny Peak, we grieve the loss of Ronnie's brother, Eric Gall. Helen Jamilian Demons, who turned 17 this week. Happy birthday. Clark asks, is anyone else having trouble hearing the speakers? Sorry, Clark. We'll speak as loud as we can. So does anyone else want to put your voice into this space? So for all of those names and joys and concerns that have been spoken out loud and read by me, and for those things that may be too tender to speak out loud yet, that remain in the silent sanctuaries of your hearts, may you feel the embrace of this community. And we say together, we hold them in our care. Oh. One of those flawed humans, those flawed, glorious humans. So this is a post-election prayer by Deborah Weiner. So please join me in a posture of meditation or prayer. Loving and transforming grace, source of creation, who some know as God, be with us now. We have endured the hard nights of struggle for our nation's soul for lo these many months, and find ourselves looking inward and to each other, to all founts of wisdom for guidance. Some have experienced moments of rejoicing for glass ceilings shattered, for a sense that our chosen candidate has prevailed, and some may be in deep mourning for the loss of the person we supported and believed in, so that now we are in the pit of despair. Where do we go next? How do we mend the wounds of this nation, born out of an audacious and tentative experiment in democracy? How do we become united once more? On this day, on all days going forward, let us look to ourselves, into each other's eyes, to the skies, as we recognize that we must find ways to join together as never before if we are to build the future we dream of. Alone we will surely fail. Separated we face defeat. But together, summoning those angels Lincoln spoke of long ago, we may yet redeem our country's greatest hope of one nation, respectful and loving of all people, to give birth again to the dream, of democracy. So now let us join in a moment of silent prayer and contemplation. Amen, and blessed be. I think I've mentioned before that this is a song that when I was a minister in Colorado, we sang every Sunday. So please remain seated, but join me in singing Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. When you found out that today's service is called Welcome Everything, did you think that this was an odd and perhaps even offensive choice for this particular time? This morning is the second monthly service in a series based on this book. It's called The 5 Invitations, Discovering What Death Can Teach Us About Living Fully. It was written by Frank Ostaszewski, co-founder of the Zen Hospice Project in San Francisco. So I was really struck by the phrase, what death can teach us about living fully. Because I think that for many of us, the election last week felt like a death. Are any of you familiar with the Jewish practice called sitting Shiva? Sitting Shiva is a week-long mourning period for first-degree relatives following the burial of a family member. After the initial period of despair and lamentation, after the person just died, Shiva offers a time for bereaved people to process their loss and to accept the comfort of others. I think that voting citizens of this country can all be considered first-degree relatives, right? And many of us are mourning. So I think that we do need to take time to process a loss that feels like a death, and to both give and to receive comfort. In a way, today I feel like some of us are sitting Shiva together. To help us process our loss, let's return to this second invitation. It's about being open to new possibilities. Welcome everything. Push away nothing. In the discussion guide at the back of the book, Frank writes that to welcome is to suspend our usual rush to judgment. Openness to paradox and to contradiction is the basis for a skillful response to life, and to welcome everything is an act of love. As we explore this invitation, Frank poses two questions that I'd like you to consider. The first one is, what is your tolerance for the unknown? We know now who won and who lost the election, but what the future holds, that's the unknown. So what's your tolerance for facing this unknown future? And then his second question is, what's the difference between acceptance and resignation? So how do these feel different in your heart, and how do they feel different in your body? For me, resignation feels like giving up. But acceptance has more energy to it. I feel like it offers an opportunity for hope and for moving forward once we accept how things are, that we can then move forward. You know, there's also a difference between acceptance and agreement, because acceptance doesn't mean that we can't work together to change. But we can't work for change until we accept reality. So we may not like or agree with what happened last week, but you know, when we argue with reality, we lose every time, right? You know, Unitarian Universalism is a pluralistic faith, and I know that many you use, including myself, and I know many of you, embrace Buddhist practices such as meditation. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, the charismatic Tibetan Buddhist teacher, spoke of the heart of Buddhist practice, of that of complete openness. He described this openness as a willingness to look at whatever arises, to work with it, and to relate to it as part of the overall process. This openness permits whatever is going to emerge, but it also means having a tolerance for the unknown, welcoming the bad times and the good times as equally valid experiences. Something that I can help us to do with this is the invitation that some of you were here last month when we considered the invitation of don't wait. Don't wait invites us to embrace the truth of constant change, of impermanence, and to avoid dying with regret. It urges us now that now is the time to be kinder, to be more compassionate, and to be more forgiving. And one of the questions that we explored last month in the service is one that I'd like to offer you to think about again today as we wonder what the future might bring. Looking back on your life, what is one unanticipated change that you're grateful for? How did it open the door to new possibility? What I shared during that service is my time in the 20s when I had dropped out of college to stay in Europe, but then I got hit by a taxi cab in Amsterdam, and I had to go back to California. And so my response was, I was so disappointed that this unanticipated change had ruined my plans. But then after my return, I got a job in Yosemite National Park, and I ended up spending 5 years there. So, how did it open the door to a new possibility? It opened the door to a possibility that turned out to be some of the best 5 years of my life. Truly a blessing. You know, I feel a little bit reticent to share a story with you that as soon as I started reading about Welcome Everything, this is what came to mind. How many of you know the Taoist parable about the Chinese farmer? Well, that's what I'm going to tell again today. So I first read the version that was popularized by the white English writer and speaker Alan Watts, who apparently worked for KPFA. So he's a little bit of a homegrown guy. So here we go. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer whose horse ran away. That evening, all of his neighbors came around to commiserate. They said, "Oh, we're so sorry to hear that your horse has run away. This is most unfortunate." But the farmer said, "Maybe. Could be a blessing, could be a curse." The next day, the horse came back, bringing 7 wild horses with it. And in the evening, everybody came back and said, "Oh, that's so lucky. What a great turn of events. You now have 8 horses." So once again, the farmer said, "Maybe. Could be a blessing, could be a curse." The following day, his son tried to break in one of the horses, and while riding, he was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors then said, "Oh, dear, that's too bad." And the farmer responded, "You can join me now." Maybe. Could be a blessing, could be a curse. Well, the next day, the conscription officers came around to conscript people into the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. Again, all the neighbors came around and said, "Oh, isn't that great?" And again, he said, "Maybe. Could be a blessing, could be a curse." I really love that story. I find it so true. How reality would unfold is so complicated. So cause and effect is just impossible to try to track. And then when we try to understand what is our impact on how things unfold, in process theology, which is the theology that I embrace, every single moment we are on the cusp of a choice, that we have a choice of what to do in each next moment. And so I would actually like to end with one of my favorite readings, which is by one of my favorite theologians, Rebecca Parker. It's called "Choose to Bless the World." Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can serve to draw down the prison door and hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will. A moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that what is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community. The endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith. The life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world, but together, that is another possibility waiting. And for the children of our children, let us keep the circle whole. Blessed be.
Sometime last week, I was walking home from downtown Berkeley. My head was spinning with things I needed to take care of. I was feeling anxious, feeling burdened. And I walked past a person trying to pull one of those blue recycling cans up over the curb and struggling to maneuver it between two parked cars. Without thinking, I turned around, put my hands on the handles next to theirs, and we both pulled shoulder to shoulder. We got that can up over the curb. We smiled at each other, and I walked off, feeling so much lighter, so much more connected to the world. Working with others to accomplish something, even something as simple as wrangling a recycling can, is a special kind of satisfaction. It's one of the reasons many of us come here, to work together on things that matter. As the baskets pass, please give generously to support the work of our church. Half of today's basket will go to the Segurate Land Trust to help fund the return of indigenous lands to indigenous people. Would the ushers please come forward?
Come here.
We'll now bless today's offering with the words on the screen. To the work of the church.
Last week. It's by local songwriter, Amazing Woman, who some of you who were in choir a few weeks ago got to spend an evening with Melanie DeMore. So let's start out by clapping. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other. Stand up and lead with love. Don't give up hope, don't give up hope, you're not alone. Don't give up hope, keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes, lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. Well, I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. Lead with love. All right. Thank you. So remain standing or in your chair. You could. Okay.
Hello, there we are. Our chalice is a symbol of the love that guides us, a beacon in a stormy world. Even as we extinguish the flame, we carry the love within us because, as the wonderful Stevie Nicks says, no matter who wins, it's not over. Whoever wins, the lighthouse needs to keep shining its light.
So shine on, people. Shine on. And if any of you would like to join me for a Circle in the Star King room, I did bring a couple of snacks and there's some water, but we have about 15 minutes, so feel free to grab some coffee, and then I'll see some of you shortly in the Star King room. An hour.
Oh, an hour, okay.
Yeah, It'll just be from 11:45 to 12:45.